Good evening. It's 6 o'clock on Monday, October 10th, 2016. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight for the English edition of Aura News, where we bring you today's top stories translated into English every weeknight. The High Inspectorate for the Declaration and Audit of Assets publicized guidance on how prosecutors and judges should declare their assets and those of their relatives. The justice system employees have 30 days to declare their wealth, and this process should be completed by November 7th. Through this instruction, the head of the HIDAA, along with the judges and prosecutors, must declare their assets within the vetting law. The law entered into power on Saturday, October 8th, giving the justice system employees 30 days' time to declare their wealth on the declaration forms and to submit all relevant documentation. The instruction reads, for any property owned, estate, value of shares, and parts of capital owned, etc., the persons associated with it must declare their source, accompanied with legal documentation attached to justify the legality of the source of each asset at the time of their acquisition. Persons who will be subject to reevaluation are obligated to submit and justify the respective documentation of their relatives' wealth. Related people include the circle of people who have a relationship with the subject of reevaluation, consisting of husband, a wife, cohabitant, adult children, and every person mentioned in the family's certificate. After the declaration of assets process ends on November 7th, the High Inspectorate and Declaration of Audit and Assets then has 60 days' time to refer the documents to the Ad Hoc Qualification Commission. This institution will check the wealth and integrity of everyone who is vying to be a judge or prosecutor in the future. Tiranas City Hall is the first to have finished their urban plan projection. Today, Tiranas mayor presented the new vision of Italian architect Boeri for Tiranas development. 13 projects for the city's development, including constructing education institutions, an orbital forest, ring roads for public transport and pedestrians, are included in the urban plan. During the project's presentation, Mayor Villiers assured that these predicted investments are not being made because of the coming elections, but rather because they are what the new generation deserves to have. The mayor said there will be a new construction regulation which will emphasize standards as a condition to receive a construction permit. The subject of high-rise buildings is frequently attacked by activists and has sparked public opinion debates. However, the mayor contends that urban planning experts consider the building type to be a solution which occupies less ground space and leaves more open space for citizens. The mayor also announced the pyramid will be transformed into a cultural center. The City Hall has an ambitious project to transform the pyramid into a public space to give it to Tiranas citizens, making it accessible for public activities, he declared. As the capital turns into a construction site, the mayor says the urban plan of Tirana is in function. Tirana's urban plan and its draft have been presented in 100 hearings with citizens so far as it moves towards finalization. The mayor declared it will be adopted in the City Council and in the National Territory Council by November. The Minister of Interior announced today that fines will toughen against drivers who use their mobile phones while driving. The minister declared that the road code will undergo necessary changes to help lessen the roughly 300 people who die each year in road accidents. Starting next month, the road police will be ticketing random drivers they find using mobile phones while driving. Radical measures are needed in order to stop mobile phone use while driving, the minister said. He cited the fact that 9 lives were saved last month because they were wearing seat belts, thanks to the fines being imposed against drivers who do not wear their seat belts. The minister added that the road police will continue fining drivers who do not use their seatbelt, as it is the main cause of death in a car accident, followed by mobile phone use while driving. The head of the state Supreme Audit considers the prosecution's decision to stop investigating the agreement between the Czech company CEZ and the state's lawyer and the Minister of Energy to be unjust. At the inquiry commission established by the Democrats for investigating the issue, the head of the state Supreme Audit declared that the case will be sent to the Supreme Court. He stated that he cannot hold a stance about government decisions as the state Supreme Audit does not audit political decisions. The SSA audits procedures, negotiations, and work strategies. The SSA did not audit government decisions about the CEZ agreement or the ratified agreement by Parliament. The SSA audited the implementation of the policies, not what the government policies were. We found violations with documentation. We deposited a lawsuit against the Minister of Energy and the state's lawyer. The prosecutor did not properly investigate our claim. What procedures were followed for the negotiations in Vienna are not documented. The work group has no documents for its procedures. €479 million in damages has been caused to the state's budget because of the CEZ agreement, declared the head of the state Supreme Audit. Majority members did not attend today's meeting of the commission, claiming the meeting to have been illegal as the needed quorum was not there. The chairman of the commission considers their absence an effort to hamper the commission's work. The head of the SSA has asked Parliament to establish an expert ad hoc commission for evaluating the damages caused to the state budget. Assembly Speaker Ilir Meta started an official 3-day visit to Greece today at the invitation of the Greek president. Mr. Meta was received by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Nikos Kotzias. During the meeting, the Assembly Speaker stressed the importance of enhancing the parliamentary agenda and that Parliament represents the interest of our two peoples. In this context, Mr. Meta said that common strategic interest should prevail over past inherited issues. The Assembly Speaker also commented on the issue of the law on war and expressed his conviction that its abrogation would create space for the liberation of other pending matters. Mr. Ilir Meta assured the Greek Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Nikos, that the Albanian Parliament supports the advancement of work between the two governments to take our cooperation in another level, and expressed his conviction that past inherited issues will be solved through understanding. When asked about the CHAM issue, Mr. Meta admitted that there are two very different approaches, but expressed his belief that it can be solved with patience and in a constructive way. During his stay in Greece, the Assembly Speaker will be received by the Greek Assembly Speaker, by the Greek Prime Minister, and the Greek President. He will also meet with representatives of some Greek political parties and representatives of the Albanian community in Greece. Before his departure for Athens, the Assembly Speaker had this to say: "Relations between Albania and Greece go beyond the political contacts already established between our two countries. Our friendship is based on understanding and exchanges over centuries. Our people have too many things in common. I believe that our visit to Athens will serve to solidify interparliamentary collaboration, which is really important for our political and economic cooperation, which we want to continue to advance in the future." The chairwoman of the Commission for Foreign Policy, the chairman of the Commission of Productive Activity, the chairman of the Party of Unity for Human Rights, and some MPs from the Socialist Party, the Democratic Party, and the Socialist Movement for Integration will all accompany the Assembly Speaker for the 3-day official visit to Greece. President of the Republic of Albania, Bujar Nishani, is on an official visit to Italy at the invitation of the Italian president. President Nishani was received by the Italian president at the Quirinal Palace, one of 3 current official residences of the President of the Italian Republic, where the two held a meeting. Later, the President's agenda includes meetings with the President of the Italian Senate and with the Chairwoman of the Commission of Foreign Policy. During his stay in Italy, the President will also meet with leaders and members of Albanian associations in Italy. The focus of the president's meetings will include relations between the two countries, Albania's path towards the European Union, the international situation, and the fight against terrorism. Prime Minister Edi Rama is on an official visit to Hamburg to attend the Albania-Germany Economic Forum. Earlier, the Prime Minister was received at a special meeting by Hamburg's first mayor, Olaf Scholz. The meeting mainly focused on Albania's integration process, for which Mr. Scholz expressed maximum support. Prime Minister Rama and Mayor Scholz also discussed the reforms the Albanian government has undertaken and the refugee crisis with which all of Europe is now facing. Prime Minister Rama will also be present at the Security Forum in Belgrade on October 13th. Along with the Serbian Prime Minister Rama will discuss the future of Albania-Serbia relations and better cooperation and increase of security and stability in all of Southeast Europe. That's all for our English edition this evening. Please join us again Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for your local news in English. My name is Mari, and on behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.